Our military is not, they're not laboratory rats where we can experiment or drop things on them while we're fighting a war to see what other effects could be affected. When we send our soldiers overseas or to areas of conflict, they do it on our behalf, giving their full measure. When they come back, if they come back, there's an expectation, I believe, that we should fully back them up and not have technicalities get in the way. If there's research that has to be done, let there be research. If we need to do genealogy studies, let there be studies of genealogy. But the bottom line is that this country, this government, this nation owes them that measure of quality of life, that measure of investment to make sure that the rest of their lives they will have medical care, medical research, so that we will know how to deploy our soldiers in the future. That we will have regulations that will think about their health and their well-being as they serve, and not let it be a consequence of chance or nature.
VA has been absolutely remiss and derelict in doing research into Agent Orange and into Gulf War illness and to the other toxic wounds that people have as a result of modern warfare. And once again, we salute Congressman Honda for stepping up to the plate and look forward to working hard with him on this issue.
We can, in good conscience, ask our veterans to sacrifice, if necessary, their very lives by fighting overseas in our behalf, only to require them and their families to shoulder the burden of service-related health problems when they return. It makes no sense and is not fair. When these service-related health issues are passed on to their children, as sometimes has happened due to exposure to toxic substances like Agent Orange, our government must do everything it can to lessen the burden and provide care.
But when you serve in Afghanistan or Iraq, in America, we're pretty much used to the fact that we've gotten rid of asbestos in most places. You walk into buildings that were built by the Russians and abandoned 20 years ago with asbestos insulation just ripped off of the pipes and particles floating in the sunbeams in the air, and you think, that can't be good. But all you can count on is that you're going to get taken care of when you come home because you've got a job to do.
I am a victim of Agent Orange. I have type 2 diabetes, peripheral neuropathy, my eyesight is going, and I'm on an insulin pump for the type 2 diabetes. So it's not heading in the right direction. We do an awful lot within the country doing town hall meetings and trying to let every Vietnam veteran know about what's going on, and also Gulf War veterans and so on. But I think the main focus of this whole thing is on our progeny, our children. Both my children have problems, and my grandchildren do also.
I just marked the 19th year since my diagnosis with multiple sclerosis. I went from being an all-star athlete to needing Harvey, my cane, just to get around. I've also had melanoma here on my neck. Now I'm being treated for trigeminal neuralgia. And now, most people don't know what that actually is, and I was happy to finally get a name for these electric shocks that I was getting in the side of my face. I ran to Google. The Google comes back with, trigeminal neuralgia is among the most painful conditions known to humankind. So that's encouraging. And Faces of Agent Orange is bringing the stories of what those barrels with the orange stripe mean to so many of us. And people are listening. And this legislation is validating our stories.
A little over a year ago, I gave birth to a beautiful little girl. They told us she had severe hip dysplasia. Right now, Madison is lucky to have a good health care plan, but what if I lose my job? Or what if my job doesn't provide healthcare anymore?
For as long as we've had a military, we've had toxic exposures. These exposures have happened in combat and on over 100 military installations, both in and out of the United States. This particular issue is especially important to me, as both my sister and I were stationed at Fort McClellan, Alabama, which we now know is one of the most toxic sites on the EPA Superfund list.
When we look at our soldiers and we ask ourselves, what is it that we owe them? We not only owe them a thanks, but we owe them the investment in order for them to know that it was worth their while, worth their lives that they did this.